Today, we are digging into the wild, almost unbelievable story of a teacher couple who came up with this radical, hardcore savings plan and completely changed their financial future. It's a journey that might just make you rethink what's possible.
And we're going to start with this quote from the man himself, Jerry Bourne, because honestly, it just perfectly sums up this whole thing. This is a story about looking at the rules, looking at the status quo, and realizing that sometimes the crazy idea is actually the smartest one.
All right, so let's meet our heroes, Jerry and his wife, Zena. They were two teachers who, really, by any normal standard, were crushing it. They were doing everything right. But they had this nagging feeling that something was really, really wrong. And it all started with a problem, a $50,000 a year problem.
Okay, let's just look at their stats back in 2009. They had a net worth of around $400,000, earning about $120K a year, and get this, saving $50K of it. I mean, that's amazing, right? But here's what was bugging Jerry. Between the two of them, they had access to 6 different retirement accounts, 2 403Bs, 2 IRAs, and 2 457 plans, but they could only afford to max out 4 of them. They were leaving this incredible, tax-advantaged opportunity just sitting on the table.
See, the issue wasn't their income. On paper, they earned plenty to fund everything. But after you take out money for their mortgage, for taxes, for benefits, all the stuff of life, there just wasn't enough cash left at the end of the month to max out those last 2 accounts. It was this classic cash flow problem, even on a really healthy 6-figure income.
And this wasn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet. Not at all. There was a very real human cost to all of this. Their job satisfaction was just tanking. Jerry talks about their weeks being so stressful that Fridays felt like this huge release, but then Sunday evenings were filled with dread. This quote, it just gets right to the heart of it. Their jobs were literally eating them alive, and they had to find a way out.
So that feeling of complete and utter burnout, it actually led to a breakthrough. Jerry was staring at his spreadsheet one night, and bam, what he calls a thunderbolt idea hit him. It was a plan so backwards, so counterintuitive, that he thought, hey, this just might work.
Okay, so the entire plan, the whole shebang, hinged on one very specific, very important rule about the 457 retirement plan. Now, unlike a 401k or a 403b, with the 457, you can take your money out without that nasty 10% early withdrawal penalty the second you leave your job. All you have to do is separate service. That's it. This one little rule was the key that was about to unlock everything for them.
And this is the question Jerry had to ask himself. And you gotta admit, when you first hear it, it sounds totally insane, right? I mean, these are successful, respected teachers with good, stable jobs. Why on earth would you quit just to get your hands on your own retirement savings?
But when you lay out the logic, the crazy suddenly starts to look, well, kind of brilliant. Okay, step 1, quit their jobs to unlock the $90,000 sitting in their 457 plan. Step 2, use that money penalty-free to live on. Step 3, go find new teaching jobs, but this time in a much cheaper area that still offered both a 403b and a 457. And here it is, the masterstroke, step 4. Since all their living expenses were already paid for, they could shovel 100% of their new paychecks into maxing out all 6 of their retirement accounts. It was absolutely genius. Of course, a plan is just a plan until you actually do it. So Jerry and Zena handed in their resignations and went looking for what Jerry lovingly calls their first crappy job.
They ended up in this small rural town in Eccles County, Georgia, and right away they realized the plan was even better in real life. Their quality of life shot way up. Jerry's student load plummeted from 142 down to just 41. And then came the financial bonuses they didn't even plan for. Turns out the district was exempt from the 6.2% Social Security tax. Instead, their employer kicked in 6% to another retirement plan, and it was 100% theirs from day one. It was this huge, unexpected windfall.
So how did it go? Well, in just 2.5 school years in that one county, by living off their old 457 and saving every single penny of their new paychecks, they managed to save over $250,000. Just wow. So after proving the concept worked, they actually took a whole year off to relax. And then they decided to do the whole thing all over again. They found another pair of jobs, this time in Coffee County, Georgia, and for this round, they lived off the money they'd saved in their previous 457 plan, plus a few strategic IRA distributions.
And you guessed it, the results were just as incredible. In their 2 years in Coffee County, they socked away another $238,000.
The momentum was really building. All right, it's time for the grand finale. Let's add all this up and see the absolutely mind-blowing result of 4.5 years of this hardcore, unconventional, crazy way of saving money.
So for all you data lovers out there, here's the year-by-year breakdown. You can just see their total savings climbing and climbing year after year. And notice, it's not just their own retirement. They were also consistently putting money into their family's health savings and their son's education accounts. The numbers are just staggering.
And there it is, the grand total. 4.5 academic years of work, and they saved over $500,000. $502,193. As Jerry himself says, most days I still can't believe we did this. I mean, it is an absolutely incredible accomplishment.
Now, Jerry makes a really important point here. He says knowing these averages was a super powerful motivator. I mean, think about it. You're having a really bad day at work, right? Well, it's a lot easier to push through when you know you just saved over $500 that day. Had a tough month? Well, you still banked over $12,000 for your future. This wasn't just money they earned. This was money they saved.
So this is an amazing story, but what can we actually take away from it? Well, Jerry doesn't just share his results. He actually lays out a kind of playbook so that other people can use this mindset to go after their own version of financial freedom.
And according to him, the absolute most critical step is this right here. You have to flip your thinking. He says there's this common belief, especially among teachers, that the job is like a vow of poverty, and he argues that's just a self-fulfilling prophecy. What if instead you saw your job as a powerful tool to save a ton of money and literally buy your freedom? That mental shift right there is step one. And their story gives us a pretty clear playbook. First, prepare your cash flow. Start feeding your 457 plan now, thinking of it as your future living expense account. Second, be strategic and target your next job in a low-cost area. Third, you gotta make a plan. Get out a spreadsheet and see what's actually possible. And finally, number 4, you have to work the plan. Don't lose your nerve, know your numbers, and let them be the fuel that keeps you going when things get tough.
Which really brings us right back to that first question, doesn't it? Were Jerry and Zena crazy for quitting good jobs and moving to the middle of nowhere? Or were they actually saner than everybody else, finding this brilliant loophole that let them hit fast forward on their savings and buy their freedom decades ahead of schedule? It's a powerful thought to chew on for your own financial journey.